my fellow wizards! Wooden skeleton key bosses and treasure chests are some of the first experiences players will have with any of the specialty key bosses, with valuable drops like permanent mounts, pack gear, crowns pets, unique wands, and more locked behind these doors. So the main question is, where are they and which drops are worth your time? Because even though the wooden skeleton key bosses are generally easier than the stone or gold key bosses, that doesn't mean they don't have a trick or two up their sleeves. So to help you decide how to spend your keys wisely, I'm here to offer the ultimate wooden skeleton key boss guide, which will show you how to find each boss, general strategies to counter them, and what types of goodies each boss drops. Let's get started. Up first is Roberto, who can be found in this house near the entrance to Firecat Alley in Old Town. And actually, after finishing Triton Avenue's main questline, Diego will give you a quest called Unlocking the Truth, which will not only direct you straight to Roberto, but will even provide you with a free wooden skeleton key to access him, which is awesome. And technically, you don't have to spend that free wooden key on Roberto, and can instead save it for another one of the bosses on this list, but you wouldn't want to disappoint Diego, would you? Anyway, Roberto himself is extremely easy with only 350 health, no minions, and no cheats to worry about, since he's likely the very first key boss players will experience, and meant for very low level wizards. You'll get the Roberto Combato badge for defeating him, as well as a bunch of different level 5 gear pieces that can also honestly just be found at the bazaar, so nothing very special there. But he does drop some valuable novice and adept socket wrenches, wooden skeleton key replacements, and the exclusive wand, Roberto's Rapier, which is actually both no trade and no auction. The wand itself only gives a few basic item cards, but it can be a really cool stitch option, especially if you want the look of a fencer or duelist, although unfortunately it does only have a basic wand animation. Moving on, we have Sapoti, who can be found through this door to the right inside of the Oasis Library in Krakatopia. If you head down the corridor, you'll find his key door to the left-hand side. Thankfully, Sapoti is definitely one of the easier bosses on this list, since he's intended for wizards between the levels of 15 to 20. He has a little over 3,000 health and no cheats, but is accompanied by a minion, and the most potentially annoying part of this fight is that between the two of them, they have quite a lot of school shields they can spam. Once you defeat him, you'll get the Sapoti Savior badge and a chance at his drops. These include Phoenix Wands for every school that offer some of the earliest damage stats on wands at this level. They also have some potential for stitching with some cool particle effects and a unique wand animation. In addition, you can also get some really useful Novice, Adept, and Expert socket wrenches for unlocking jewel slots on your equipment, replacement wooden skeleton keys and also stone skeleton keys, and the Foxy Dragon pet. Next is Ra, who is actually right next to Sapoti at the far end of the same corridor. However, unlike Sapoti, Ra is definitely a bit more of a challenge. He has 3,000 health and is accompanied by Hu the Commander, Sia the Perceiver, and Heka the Harespect. On the first round, Ra will cast Balance of Power, and if a player tries to remove the bubble, Ra will recast it. Randomly, Ra will also cast Black Mantle or Precision, which can affect all players or all enemies, either helping or hindering you in the process. Finally, at the end of every fourth round, Ra will cast a spell that applies an aura on everyone in the fight. First, he'll cast Amplify, then Fortify, and cycle between the two until the fight ends. The main annoyances in this fight are going to be potential accuracy debuffs, which might be especially triggering to the low-level storm wizards out there. And the fact that Ra has shields for almost every school. The minions are thankfully pretty straightforward, though Sia does have a lot of healing spells, so they are definitely a priority to defeat quickly. The easiest strategy for this fight is just to blade, trap, and AoE everyone, but if you can't take out everyone in one hit, definitely defeat Sia first, then the other minions before focusing down Ra. For winning the fight, you'll earn the badge Reading Room Roustabout and a chance at a ton of different drops. You can get the level 20 Raw School gear, which generally gives a bit of damage and pierce, as well as the 3 sets from the Pharaoh's Horde pack in red, blue, and purple. There's also a ton of furniture pieces from the Krakatopia furniture sets, which can also be bought for gold from the Crown Shop, and some rarer pieces from the Pharaoh's Horde pack like unique croc statues, as well as some tapestries. You can get some handy Novice, Adept, and Expert socket wrenches, wooden and stone skeleton keys, rare reagents like amber and various motes, and several types of megasnacks. There's also a bunch of plant seeds like boiled peanuts, honeybee plants, key limes, melting cheese trees, moonflowers, saw palmettos, and sunions, and rare pets like the death scarab, mummy cat, sailback skink, regular skink, snake in a basket, and various croc pets. Finally, some of the best drops from Ra include a whopping 7 different permanent mounts, including the Camel, Crocagator, Mander Palanquin, Moonlight Pony, Starlight Pony, Starshine Pony, and Sunshine Pony. So Ra is definitely well worth farming for lower level wizards looking for some free mounts. Shifting over from Crocotopia to the neighboring Kembalong village, we have our first wooden skeleton key locked chest located in the Pagoda of Harmony. To access the chest, you'll first need to complete the dungeon by defeating 2 mobs and then fighting the final boss, Sutsui, a storm boss with relatively low health. Behind him, you'll find a locked wooden key door which leads to the chest. By interacting with it, you'll have a chance at a number of different drops. First, there are some tier 3 athames, amulets, and decks, which can give you some pip chance, health, and some accuracy item cards, as well as some tier 2 loot wands, which give some damage and can be solid options for stitching, as they are some of the few instrument-themed wands in the game, with another popular option being the flute wands, and they even have a unique casting animation. You can also get replacement wooden keys here, as well as a number of rare pets originally from the Kieran's Horde pack, including the Amber Shenlong Dragon, Jade Oni, Lavender Foo Dog, Plague Ninja, Red Panda, and Sunfire Foo Dog. Now let's head to the other dungeon in the area, Hollow Mountain, where our next wooden key boss resides. The Temple Phantom boss can be found partway through the dungeon through this door on the left once you enter Hamakala's mausoleum after fighting 2 to 3 mobs and potentially the boss of the Temple Guardian if you fail a puzzle. He has 2,280 health and 3 enthralled Mind Monk minions, though thankfully no cheats. The main challenges in this fight are the many school shields the boss can place, weaknesses and black mantles, and the fact that both the Temple Phantom and his minions can stun you. Thankfully, as usual, you can just blade up, trap, and AoE to defeat the entire group at once, or you can try to take out the minions before dealing with the boss himself. Upon winning the fight, you'll earn the Phantom's Menace badge, which I love.
Hello there.
And a chance at his drops, which include tier 2 and 3 gear pieces, which generally give some low damage, pip chance, and accuracy. Just like the Pagoda of Harmony chest, you may get some of the tier 2 unique loot wands, but you can also get the tier 3 saber wands here as well, which are also potentially solid options for stitching with a really nice shimmer effect down the blade, as well as a unique wand animation. In addition, you can get replacement wooden skeleton keys, the Cloud Colossus pet, and the permanent blue, gold, and silver Kieran mounts originally from the Kieran's Horde pack, which is amazing. Moving over to Marleybone, there are several wooden key doors that can be found inside Barkingham Palace, which most players get directed to around level 40. First, there's Billythecutter, who can be found in the first dungeon, the State Wing. After 2 mob fights, you'll see the skeleton key door on the left-hand side of the second room, and inside you'll find Billy accompanied by 3 Lanyon Scratcher minions. Billy has a little under 5,000 health and does have a number of cheats to deal with. If a player casts a Universal Shield or single target absorb spell, Billy will cast Steel Ward on the caster and take the shield for himself. In addition, if a player casts an Ice, Fire, or Universal Blade, Billy will cast Steel Charm on the receiver of the blade. If a multi-target blade spell is used, he'll only steal from the caster. At the end of the 4th round and every 8th round after, he'll cast Frost Giant, and then at the end of the 8th round and every 8 rounds after, he'll also cast Fire Dragon. He can also randomly cast a Fire Prism on a wizard after using many of his fire spells, followed by a natural attack. For strategy here, avoid using Universal Shields or Absorb spells, as well as Fire, Ice, or Universal Blades, since Billy will just steal them from you. Non-universal shields like Ice's Volcanic Shield can be a great alternative here for defense. He doesn't remove traps, so those are your friend here, especially options like Feint for Ice, Fire, and Balance wizards who can't use their blades. I also recommend either blading or trapping, then AoEing to take everyone out, but if you can't manage that, definitely defeat the Lanyon Scratchers quickly before focusing on Billy, since they have some very strong storm attacks like Kraken and Triton that can rapidly reduce your health. Once you defeat Billy, you'll get the badge Cutter's Bane and hopefully some lucky drops. First, Billy can drop some of the tier 3 athames, amulets, and rings, which generally give some low-level damage, pip chance, and ice resist, though nothing that special. He can also drop the tier 2 rings, which are definitely an improvement on the damage front, but again, nothing crazy stat-wise. Otherwise, he drops some helpful wooden skeleton key replacements, several different megasnacks, the very handy Deer Knight Onyx Jewel, which can actually also be crafted, which I have another video on, and finally the amazing Dapper Corgi, which is hands down the best option for making an energy pet. Unlike other pets, the Dapper Corgi has a unique bonus which gives 8 energy on top of whatever talents it manifests, which makes it perfect for an energy-focused pet for gardening or fishing. I have a dedicated free energy gear guide if you're interested, but this pet is absolutely worth getting at some point, whether as a drop from Billy or by hatching for it in the pet pavilion. He's just a good boy. If we now shift over to the second dungeon in Barkingham Palace, the main hall, we'll find a locked wooden key door in the second room after fighting a mob, and then the life boss Chief Whip, who I recommend taking out first since he can be a bit annoying when he spams rebirth to heal himself and revive his minions. Once inside, you'll see a treasure chest which you can interact with for a chance at some loot. First, you can get tier 1, 2, and 3 Athames, which mostly give pip chance and some ice resist, as well as tier 3 rings, which offer a bit of damage, pip chance, and incoming and outgoing healing, which can be nice. However, the main appeal here are definitely the numerous megasnacks, rare pets like the Clockwork Paladin, Muscled Cat, and Wolfhound, and the potential to get a replacement wooden skeleton key. For our final entry on this list, we're headed to Lower Zigazag, which is normally accessed around level 60, where we'll find a wood skeleton key door about halfway through the dungeon. To access it, you'll need to defeat several sets of mobs and the boss Cuspid. Once you reach the second set of caged manders that you need to free, head back through this archway and around the corner to the right to find the wooden skeleton key door. Inside, you'll find a locked chest which you can interact with for some goodies. These include tier 3 Athames and rings, which give some low-level damage and pip chance, though these will be generally outclassed by other options at this level. However, the real star of the show here are the amazing tier 1 amulets, which offer some of the best damage at level 60, while also offering some great item cards including blades and AoE spells, which I detail in my dedicated level 60 gear guide. So I would argue that these amulets alone potentially make farming for wooden keys well worthwhile here. Finally, you can also get some wooden and stone skeleton key drops, and the Royal Ibis and Mummy Cat Pets, which are originally from the Immortals and Pharaoh's Horde packs. Alright my fellow wizards, that was my ultimate wooden skeleton key boss and treasure chest guide. Which wooden skeleton key options do you personally think are most worth farming, and which would you give a hard pass? I personally have to go with Ra and the Temple Phantom for the amazing permanent mounts they drop, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, as it really does help me to make more amazing Wiz content for you all. And if you want to support me and the channel further, you can hit the join button below to become one of my awesome channel members. As always, I hope to see you out there in the spiral, and happy questing!